Hello, I'm Carol Mandel, and I'm the Dean of the Division of Libraries at New York University. So there are several things. One of them is bringing light back into the building from a visual perspective, from a perspective of how people feel and work. This building was designed for natural light to flow in and out and across the atrium, and being able to move books around and create those light pathways, I think will enliven the building in a great way, and we'll see more of that as we move through the renovation. As I look through the new spaces, I think the fact that we are working through, and it may be a bit of an iterative process, new kinds of ways for librarians and researchers to interact, and the design of spaces that will facilitate that in a much more natural flow of working together. I'm very excited about trying that out. I can't believe we'll get it perfectly right the first time, but I think it's an important experiment, and we will be successful. I like the variety of spaces for users that we're creating on the 5th floor. We move from a more enlivened space as you come off the elevators and you enter the big south wing. You will have the digital and data service studios immediately accessible. You'll get a feel for a lively technology environment. There will be equipment available and some kind of more informal collaborative spaces. And then as you move back through the east and west wings and onto the grand north reading room, the spaces will become more intense and quiet. We are not able to provide as many independent doctoral student carrels as we would like, and as many of our students know, the quality of space of those carrels has not been great, and we're going to try an experiment of a kind of writer's room or a researcher's room that you will subscribe to the room, and there will only be a few people who can use the room, but it won't be a separate one-person office space, and we hope that we'll be able to give that kind of quality of private, reliable, my space workplace to a few more people that way, so that an office won't sit vacant for any amount of time. So I think those are some of the concepts that excite me. The idea that people will be able to work in the kind of more restful, quiet environment. We have some acoustical problems in the stacks now, very hard surfaces. It's quite quiet in there, people work quietly, but the problem is you can hear a pin drop, you can hear a chair scrape, you can hear a student shelving, and we need to mute all of that sound so that people can work more comfortably in the stacks, and we'll change the lighting as well. So I think, and of course, provide them with places to plug in. So I'm very excited just by those little changes that will increase the quality of life so much. After, again, we completed the successful renovation in 2004, we knew that we had hit a bullseye in understanding the way undergraduates worked and what they needed in libraries. But at that time, we didn't feel that we understood quite how 21st century research was being conducted. And we undertook a major study. Actually, it's been quite a landmark study that many other libraries have used, and we had the benefit of some pro bono consulting work with an outstanding firm, Katzenbach Partners Limited, KPL at the time. And we interviewed faculty and graduate students to understand more deeply what the library meant to them and the way they worked. We unpacked the concept of browsing. What does browsing mean? Because again, there's something at the core of what they would talk about as browsing and serendipity that doesn't go away in the world of electronic information or in the nature of how people use libraries, but it is different. And we studied that deeply. One of the things that we also learned is that because of the way people now work with their computers and with the way they manage information, is that faculty do most of their work in their offices. In fact, the space of their departments is very important to them, but they're less bound to coming into the library. So they'll come in for consultations or special needs, but their first priority for where they work is a place that they have all set up electronically for themselves, because they can get so much electronically. And through much discussion, we realized that our biggest research users physically in the space, not from service perspective, but physically in the space, were going to be graduate students. And the more we talked to graduate students, the more we saw how desperately they needed spaces in the library to be able to work. And NYU has a huge population of master's students. It's not just the PhD students, and all of them have different ways of working and in a desperate need for the kinds of intellectual and research support environment that we can provide for the library. So we then embarked on a multi-year intensive study of what do graduate students need. We developed a graduate student working group. We had many focus groups, and we worked with administrators who work with graduate students across the campus to help us find graduate students and help us understand what they were doing in their departments and in other spaces, so that this would all be a part of a larger picture. So we developed from that study a whole set of new services and new space concepts for graduate students, and we have been carrying those out bit by bit as we move through the renovation. We are creating spaces that are card swipe restricted to graduate students, because they do have a different style of working, and we found that spaces set their own social environments and their own expectations, and there are times when it's important to be with a cohort that is like you, working in the same way, whether it means quiet working, intense working, or whether it means collaborative work, or whether it means just a chance to get inspired and exchange ideas. The importance is there's a sort of kind of social milieu environment expectation that those spaces set up. And so we are creating more and more of these graduate student spaces as well. At the same time, we're being very careful on the 4th and 5th floors to create spaces that are not carded off for graduate students and are available to undergraduates who also want to work in that same kind of mode. So right after graduation, we will begin the renovation of floors 4 and 5. The only way to really do this efficiently is to close those floors, because it's a gut renovation of those 2 floors. And so where will we put the books during that time? Because there will still be books going back to floors 4 and 5. For the months of half of May through October of 2010, you'll be seeing a lot of books in the atrium. I know there are many faculty who always say to me, I wish there were books in the atrium. Well, they'll see what it's like to have books in the atrium. And actually, I think they'll miss the fact that the atrium has become such a lively meeting place, but we'll have a few sofas in there too. So the books will be in the atrium, and the work will be going on floors 4 and 5 through probably October of 2010. We will focus the noisy kind of demolition work in the summer months when the library is least used, and we will do everything we can to minimize disruption through shifts of hours for certain kinds of work. By the time everyone comes back in the fall, we should be working on furnishings and finishes, and by October it'll be essentially punch list kinds of items, and then starting to move into the floors. So I think we'll manage it. It's never an easy time when you're going through renovation, but we'll try to make this as compact and minimally disruptive as possible.